Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining, and welcome to the Productivity and Collaboration Tech Talk today. My name is Robert Wensen, and I'm a Senior FastTech Solution Architect in the FastTech for Dynamics 365 team. This Tech Talk is at level 200 and is aimed at providing a general overview of our out-of-the-box integration story with our productivity and collaboration offerings for Microsoft 365 and Power BI. So these are the objectives for today. We'll start with email integration with Microsoft Exchange and Outlook. Then we'll talk about the integration with Microsoft Teams. And after that, we'll cover the integration with Power BI, the integration with Office 365 Group, as well as SharePoint, and also OneNote and OneDrive. And lastly, the integration with Yammer. So the takeaways of this Tech Talk are to get a good understanding of our out-of-the-box cloud integration story and coverage of some usage scenarios and best practices. So let's discuss the email integration. Server-side synchronization is the preferred option for organizations with users who run model-driven applications in Dynamics 365, such as Dynamics 365 for Sales and Customer Service, in a web browser or on a mobile device such as tablet or smartphone. Server-side synchronization provides direct apps to email server synchronization. Using server-side synchronization makes messaging data available to a web browser, tablet, or smartphone that is running model-driven applications in Dynamics 365. One of the main reasons people use model-driven applications in Dynamics 365 is to store all customer communications in one place. So anyone with the appropriate permissions can see all relevant customer records. For example, view all email associated with a particular contact, account, opportunity, or case. So to store email and other messaging records, you need to synchronize your email system with model-driven apps in Dynamics 365. And you can do this with server-side synchronization. Server-side synchronization has the following benefits. You can enable the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. With the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook, model-driven applications in Dynamics 365 information appears next to the user's Outlook email messages or appointments. You can view information about contacts and leads stored in model-driven applications in Dynamics 365 and add context directly from an email message. You can also link email, appointment, and contact records to a new or existing record, such as an opportunity, an account, or a case record. Dynamics 365 app for Outlook is very simple to deploy, and it works with Outlook on the web, including in Office 365. And it works with the Outlook desktop client and Outlook mobile. You can also enable Exchange folder tracking. With folder tracking, users can simply drag email to an Exchange folder to track it automatically in a model-driven application in Dynamics 365. Folder tracking works on any mobile device that supports Microsoft Exchange, which means users can track email from just about any device. You can use Outlook category to track appointments and emails. Server-side synchronization now allows tracking of emails, appointments, and tasks in Outlook with a special category, which is called Track to Dynamics 365. Assigning this category to an email, appointment, or task in Outlook syncs the item to Dynamics 365. Similarly, removing the category from a tracked email, appointment, or task untracks it from Dynamics 365. Automatic synchronization. When you synchronize records with server-side synchronization, this synchronization happens automatically at the server level. And you can enable multiple scenarios, including hybrid scenarios. You can use server-side synchronization to connect, for example, model-driven applications in Dynamics 365 to Exchange Online, but you can also connect model-driven applications in Dynamics 365 to Exchange Server on-premise. And you can schedule appointments, contacts, and tasks. So in addition to email, you can synchronize Outlook appointments, contacts, and tasks. You can use the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook to tap into the power of your Dynamics 365 apps while you're using the Outlook on the desktop, web, or phone. When Dynamics 365 app for Outlook is installed, you'll see a Dynamics 365 pane or window next to selected Outlook email messages or an appointment, or when you're composing an email message or setting up a meeting or appointment. Just a few notes which are very important is that the latest release of Dynamics 365 app for Outlook works with Dynamics 365 customer engagement on-premise and Common Data Service, which implies that it also works with model-driven apps such as Dynamics 365 for sales and customer service. Delegated users cannot use the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook to track emails and calendar items. Please try using Outlook folder level tracking or category-based tracking for delegated users to track Outlook items on the owner's behalf. With Dynamics 365 app for Outlook, you can view information about Dynamics 365 contacts and leads while you're working in Outlook. You can view this information in the context of an email message, meeting, or appointment. For example, view phone numbers, company name, last and next activities, and recent records from Dynamics 365. You can link email messages, meetings, and appointments to a Dynamics 365 record with a single click. For example, link an email message to a specific account, opportunity, or case. Dynamics 365 app for Outlook also supports custom entities. You can open in the Dynamics 365 records directly to find or enter more detailed information directly from Outlook. You can add a phone call, a task, or appointment activity to Dynamics 365. You can create a new Dynamics 365 record for any entity or record type. You can add email templates, knowledge articles, and sales literature where you create an email message or set up a meeting. And you can track Outlook contacts in Dynamics 365. Now let's talk about customizing the app for Outlook. So you can set up delegate access. You can set up delegate access to allow someone to track Common Data Service information using the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. You can set up delegate access in Outlook to give someone permission to act on your behalf. For example, you might want an assistant to create and respond to email or meeting requests for you, and then track the information in the Common Data Service using the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. Customizing the track regarding card. So the admin can change what's being displayed in the card that appears where you track the regarding email. For example, you might want to replace mobile phone with company name on the contact card. Customize which entities appear in Quick Create. You can enable a custom entity to appear in Quick Create, for example, but you can also disable entities. You can customize the regarding lookup to add or remove entities. You can expand the fields search on in regarding lookup. You can ensure emails and appointments are tracked with a regarding record in Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. So just to ensure that everyone in your organization who has the app for Outlook always tracks the email appointment with a regarding record. You can filter entities and views that appear in the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. So you can choose to expose only the required set of entities to be available to Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. And this helps you to get the record you are looking for faster. And also model business logic by exposing only the relevant entities for users in the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. So this concludes the section about integration with Exchange and Outlook. Next, let's discuss the integration with Microsoft Teams. If you're familiar with Microsoft Teams, you know it's the place to manage all your conversations, files, and tools in one team workspace. You can create and edit documents right in the application and enjoy instant access to SharePoint, OneNote, Power BI, and now also model-driven applications in Dynamics 365. With the Dynamics 365 for Teams integration, you can add model-driven application features that you rely on to the Microsoft Teams app you collaborate with. This lets you easily work with the Common Data Service customer information and share files directly from Microsoft Teams. Access Common Data Service records by adding a Dynamics 365 tab into the Microsoft Teams channel. Collaborate at a large scale, not only on a single application record, like a sales opportunity, but also on multiple records. You can use the Microsoft Teams integration to seamlessly collaborate on documents between Common Data Service and Microsoft Teams. So you can collaborate on a set of records, such as an active opportunity, using Microsoft Teams conversation, and easily access records on the go using Dynamics 365 bot for Microsoft Teams mobile application. So some of the other benefits include the collaboration hub. This access a shared workspace for Office application that most of us already use to work on sales opportunities. Cross-functional collaboration, work together with customers and any colleague across functions, even if they aren't a Dynamics 365 application user. With file integration, you can co-author documents using Office 365 and automatically sync documents to the Common Data Service. With the Microsoft Teams mobile application, you can search from Microsoft Teams mobile application using Dynamics 365 bot while on the go. And then there is the Dynamics 365 Assistant application for Microsoft Teams. The Dynamics 365 Assistant application is available on Microsoft Teams as part of the existing Dynamics 365 application. The app provides sellers with a simple-to-use experience by combining data from multiple sources, such as Office 365 and Dynamics 365. So once you complete the setup, you'll see a notification of a successful connection, and the model-driven app record will load in the newly added tab. You can interact with the records as if you were using the Dynamics 365 application. And those with write permissions can also edit the record. And these changes will be synchronized with the model-driven application in Dynamics. And similarly, you can add views to a channel in Teams. Just a note, if you select a personal view, My Views, instead of System Views, it's recommended that you share the view with other users in Microsoft Teams before you add the view to the Microsoft Teams channel. Otherwise, other team members will not have access to the view content. You can also have a conversation, so you can have a chat with your team members side by side with the Model-Driven App tab. To get started, from the Model-Driven App tab, pinned in the Microsoft Teams channel, select the Show Tab Conversation button to open the Conversation tab. Opening a Model-Driven App record or view. It's easy to navigate to the pinned Model-Driven App record or view the page from Microsoft Teams. From the Model-Driven App record tab pin in Microsoft Teams channel, simply select the Go to the website button to open the record or view the page in Dynamics 365 apps. View and associate files. Select the Files tab in the Connected Team channel to associate files with a model-driven application record. Files added here will appear automatically in the model-driven apps in Dynamics 365 under Documents for linked records. And likewise, the other way around, when you add a document to a model-driven app record, that document will appear in Microsoft Teams under the Files tab. To view a consolidated file list across all document locations, including all connected team channel file libraries, from document location, select all locations. So the Dynamics 365 app for Microsoft Team bot feature allows you to search for model-driven app records within Microsoft Teams conversations. You can find and open the Dynamics 365 bot, open a chat on the left side of the Microsoft Teams, and then select Dynamics 365. The conversation tab opens with the welcome message sent by the bot. So you see some preloaded options, for example, select opportunities to have the bot return a list view of records from your default opportunities field. Or for example, you can search for accounts. You can use the Dynamics 365 app for Microsoft Teams for your own use, but if you want to work with other team members, you can use the team application. So lastly, let's talk about the Dynamics 365 Assistant application for Teams. In a fast-moving world, as a salesperson, you need to be on top of daily sales activities so that you can close deals and maintain proper communications with the customer. The Dynamics 365 Assistant application provides sellers with timely and in context, intelligent guidance across the sales journey so that sellers can spend more time building relationship with their customers. The Dynamics 365 Assistant app is available on Microsoft Teams as part of the existing Dynamics 365 application. The application provides sellers with a simple-to-use experience by combining data from multiple sources such as Office 365 and Dynamics 365. And the application enables you to prepare for your day. You can receive a digest of upcoming customer engagements and key information, all in a single place. You can gain access to personalized insights during every phase of your sales motion. Prepare for meetings. Arrive at the meeting informed and prepared by reviewing a summary of customer interactions across the team. Learn who in your company knows attendees to benefit from friendly introductions and receive talking points based on past conversations, all helping to build rapport and start a meeting with no difficulty. Take the next best action and get proactive suggestions for the next best action to ensure nothing falls between the cracks. Capture meeting notes. Instead of typing notes into Dynamics 365 for Sales, once you're back at the office, you can use your phone to capture the notes right after the meeting and while on the go, ensuring every task is captured and addressed. Transform business cards into contacts. Save time it takes to manually enter contacts with the new business card scanner. Easily use your phone's camera to capture business cards. Analyze and save relevant information as new contacts directly in Dynamics 365. And with that, we concluded the section about the integration with Microsoft Teams. Let's review the integration with Power BI. The Power BI for Office 365 Cloud Service works with model-driven applications in Dynamics 365, such as Dynamics 365 for Sales and Customer Service, to provide a self-service analytics solution. Power BI automatically refreshes the data displayed with the Power BI desktop for Office Excel, Power Query for authoring reports, and Power BI for sharing dashboards and refreshing data for model-driven apps in Dynamics 365. Sales, marketing, and service personnel in the organization have a powerful new way to work with the data. There are several context packs available for Dynamics 365, such as in this case the Sales Manager content pack with Sales Manager dashboard and insights into the sales performance. In addition, the Power BI for Sales Insights application brings in key entities from Dynamics 365. Sales managers can track sales performance across products and salespeople, and they can also monitor the health of their pipeline and quickly identify at-risk accounts that they might want to focus their attention on. So the app provides key KPIs like win ratios, lead conversation rates, and year-to-date revenue. This concludes the brief overview of the integration with Power BI. Next, the integration with SharePoint. So when you use SharePoint Online with model-driven application in Dynamics 365, you can create, upload, view, and delete documents stored in SharePoint directly from within model-driven applications in Dynamics 365. You can use the SharePoint document management abilities within model-driven applications in Dynamics 365, such as checking the document in and out and changing document properties. You can also enable non-Dynamics users, such as colleagues or customers who want to review a bit, to directly access the SharePoint document, even when they're not a Dynamics user or have a Dynamics license. We support various configurations, and you can mix and match integration points. You can integrate Dynamics 365 Online with both SharePoint Online and on-premise, and vice versa, you can integrate Dynamics 365 on-premise with SharePoint on-premise and SharePoint online. So document management with SharePoint lets users manage common document types such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and create folders to save and manage those documents in model-driven applications in Dynamics that are seamlessly stored in SharePoint. So this integration is really ideal for storing public or finalized documents. And just a note, do not use SharePoint integration if you plan to solely use the SharePoint integration for just storing the documents outside the Dynamics 365 database. So the upcoming new storage capacity features of Dynamics 365 will store automatically documents and files outside the transactional database on Azure Blob Storage. So if you just need any of your documents or attachments to be stored outside outside of the transactional database, you do not need per se SharePoint integration. But if you do need to leverage the SharePoint document management capabilities, then this is the way to go. Okay, let's discuss OneNote and OneDrive. So if you want to gather your thoughts, ideas, plans, and research in one single place with OneNote in model-driven applications in Dynamics 365, such as Dynamics 365 for sales and customer service, and when you turn on OneNote's integration in model-driven apps in Dynamics 365, you have the benefits of using OneNote to take or review customer notes from within your record. So you can create a OneNote book for each single record, for example, an opportunity or a lead or an account, and you can keep your notes for that record in OneNote. And you can access those notes directly to Dynamics 365 or directly to the OneNote application. You can also user can also create and manage private documents with OneDrive for business. So you can also integrate directly with OneDrive for business. And those documents can be accessed in model-driven applications in Dynamics 365 in the same way as with SharePoint. So you can create and access documents from within Dynamics 365, and you can access the documents directly from your OneDrive for business. And you can also leverage directly the document management features as with SharePoint. But user access to these documents will be private. And this integration option is ideal for draft documents. So this concludes the section about OneNote and OneDrive. Let's talk about Office 365 groups. Office 365 groups available with Dynamics 365 online applications provides a new environment for collaboration with Office 365 users who don't use model-driven applications in Dynamics 365. For example, users who don't have a Dynamics license, but also should have access to a certain type of contact, such as documents and chats and conversations. So for example, you can use Office 365 groups when a sales team has a major opportunity, requiring input from several people, of which some of them do not have access to Dynamics 365 per se. And Office 365 groups provide a single location to share documents, conversations, meetings, and notes. And you can enable Office 365 groups for any entity. As mentioned, you can collaborate with people inside and outside of your organization, and it includes chats, documents management, calendar, and OneNote. And it's accessible only to designated group members. And this is ideal for collaboration or teamwork in the context of a Dynamics 365 record. Well, you can configure to create Office 365 groups for Dynamics 365 records, such as opportunities, automatically. You can also do this manually if you need more granular control. And this concludes the integration with Office 365 groups section. As last topic, we'll briefly cover the Yammer integration. So Yammer gives colleagues at your organization a central place to have conversations, create and edit documents, and share information without sending email or attending any meetings. So after you set up your organization to work with Yammer, employees will see posts in the newsfeed on their model-driven applications in Dynamics 365 dashboard whenever people update customer info, and they'll be able to join in the conversations with their own posts. So Yammer integration with Dynamics 365 allows users to collaborate on customer and opportunity records within both applications. And Yammer users receive alerts on record updates such as opportunities and changes to customer statuses, even when they're not Dynamics users. And users of Dynamics 365 can post record updates to Yammers from directly inside Dynamics 365. And this concludes the section on integration with Yammer. With that, we have come to the end of the presentation. We have provided a general overview of our out-of-the-box integrations for Dynamics 365 with other cloud offerings, such as Office 365, Power BI, and Yammer. For more in-depth information or guidance, please reach out to your FastTech solution architect, your technical account manager, or review the documentation on our website. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.